Okay, looks like we're recording. Let me turn this down. Just got a little bit of an echo. All right. Yo, yo, what is good, everyone? It is the godfather of gaming and VR, the ageless wonder, your boy Lincoln Clay, coming back at you with a recorded video with a podcast format. What is going on, everybody? It is 3:20 a.m. I just got up, fell asleep as soon as I got out of work, so no productivity in terms of games. Ooh, excuse me. So I finally got around to learning how to record and upload videos from OBS to YouTube. Was it a lot of these videos that I watched weren't much help, and I figured out how to do it myself. Once I did, I figured out that I made things harder than it needed to be. So, in any case, we got video uploaded. Um, this is a little bit better than the road trip videos because hopefully I can focus a little bit better. When I do the road trip videos, sometimes I mix up my words because I'm too busy focusing on traffic. Grab a drink here. So, I'll be mixing these type of videos in with a podcast style. So, before I get into this, I actually got to say this game, Asgard's Wrath. This is what I want to talk about. And before we get into the game, I definitely want to say I'm so glad that Oculus shrunk that file because that game is almost 130 gigs. They shrunk the file down to about 78 gigs. So the download is faster. It was faster, and my data cap took less of a hit. So good deal on Oculus on that part. So I want to talk about Asgard's Wrath. Give you my take on the game. I mean, it's an amazing game, and I definitely want to break it down. Um, Not exactly sure where I will start, but you see, I got the trailer going on here. I guess I'll talk a little bit about the story because I can tell you about the story of the game without spoiling anything. The game starts. You're basically a fledgling god, and then once the story actually gets started, you come upon a scene of a kraken, coming out of the water, and the god Loki is fighting this kraken. And in the middle of Loki fighting this kraken, a voice, was like Loki and snatched him up into the clouds, which I'm guessing that was Odin, telling Loki to get his ass up here. But before he got snatched upstairs, Loki threw you his sword and basically wanted you to finish the fight for him. So naturally, you kill the Kraken, and then you catch up with Loki at like a local tavern in Asgard, and Loki says, for taking care of that Kraken, I'm sort of at your service, but I need that stone you got from the Kraken. So you give Loki the stone. In return, Loki gives you a rune that lets you switch back and forth between being, possessing mortals and becoming a god. So that's where the female character comes in. Loki, I think she's called the Shield Maiden, and she is looking to get revenge on the god Tyr because the god Tyr killed her brother. So it looks to me like Loki wants you to help her kill Tyr. So it's a pretty good story. So you can see on the sword right there, that is the Shield Maiden. So now that we got the story out of the way, um, let me see. I think it's probably the best VR game that I've ever played one thing that is undeniable, it is definitely the most detailed VR game that I've ever played. The environment is so detailed. I mean, the environment looks like something right out of God of War, especially at the beginning of the game when you start out in Asgard. You start out in this room. It looks like some kind of royal room, and it looks like something right out of Asgard, out of God of War. And these doors open, and you see the Bifrost Bridge, and that's an incredible sight to behold in VR. So it definitely has the most detailed environment that I've ever seen in a video game. And I'd imagine that this environment is part of the reason why that file was so big. There's about roughly 40 hours of gameplay. So the feeling this game, it feels like the first full-length AAA VR game that was built from the ground up. Games like Skyrim and even No Man's Sky, if you want to call that a AAA game, they weren't built from the ground up for VR. They were ported. So when you play those games, they don't have a VR feel like it was built from the ground up. It almost has this feel like it's still a flat screen game, but you were kind of pasted into the game. This game feels like it was built from the ground up. Great draw distance, and again, it feels like a full length game. It doesn't feel like a tech demo. It doesn't feel like a game, that's only got 2 hours of gameplay. And with that being said, probably gonna make some comparisons to Lone Echo with this game. Like, Lone Echo is a great game and a AAA quality type game, but I think the game is only like 8 to 10 hours long in terms of gameplay. So it's not a very long story. So when Lone Echo 2 comes out, I hope that's a lot longer. But anyway, so Asgard's Wrath has about 40 hours of gameplay. I've seen some YouTube videos where people have gone through the entire story, and that was only like 37% of the game. There's a lot of side quests on the game, which I don't know how much of the side quests that I'll be doing. You know how I am. I'm a story person. I'm a person that likes to see the story played out. So at least on the first playthrough, I'll probably just try to play out the story and get around to the side quests later. So in terms of the environment, I give the environment a perfect 10. It's a beautiful environment, and again, it's the most detailed environment that I've ever seen. Again, it's a lot of stuff to do with the side quest. The combat, let me see. One of the things I like about the combat is that there's some parrying involved. When some enemies come at you, you can, pull your shield out, and as the enemies are striking at you, you can parry them, like smack them backwards with the shield, and it'll knock them off balance, and then you can try to move in for the kill. So I like that. There's been some minor complaints about the combat where the way when you go to slash an enemy, the way they come apart don't match the way you swing. You know what I mean? So you might take an east and west swing, but the enemy might split down the middle as if you took a north and south swing. So slight rumblings about that, but to me that's kind of minor. But yes, I did notice that, And I think a lot of YouTubers that was pointing that out, I think that's what they had the same intentions. Like, I don't think they meant any, negativity towards the game. They were just pointing out something that they observed. So, but for the most part, I like the parrying, and I do like the combat. It can get a little what's the word? It can get a little intense at times, maybe a little bit hectic, especially if you play it on the highest difficulty when you got multiple enemies coming at you. So you constantly turning around, having to keep your eye out for enemies coming at you. Let me see. You can throw your sword at enemies, and rather than the sword coming back to you, you just reach towards your sheath and just pull out another sword. So the sword is magic, so that explains that. So what else? What else do we want to talk about? Probably the graphics. The graphics are amazing in this game, but this is probably the one thing that I'll say that really stands out. The graphics look amazing, but I would still say that Lone Echo is a better looking game by about that much. If I was to give Lone Echo a perfect 10 on its graphics, I would give Asgard's Wrath like a 9.8 or 9.9. Because I still believe that Lone Echo is the best looking VR game that I've ever seen and the most photorealistic. On Lone Echo, being inside that space station looks so real that if you get next to a door, you actually get a little bit concerned that if that door unlocks, you'll get sucked into space. So that's how real that looks. 1 second, folks. Okay, I know getting out of my seat like that doesn't look very professional, but my schnozola was starting to run, so I had to go blow my nose. But yeah, this game looks amazing. Now, there were times where I felt like the graphics in this game looked just as good as Lone Echo, but overall, I felt like Lone Echo was just a smidgen better than Asgard's Wrath as far as the graphics goes. I don't mean that as a negativity. It's just an observation on my part. So, but it is still an amazing looking game. Again, I would give the graphics on Asgard's Wrath as far as VR games goes. I'd still give it a 9.8, 9.9. So, I'm basically doing this first impressions off the top of my head. I don't have anything scripted, so I'm probably bouncing all over the place talking about this. But I do love this game, and it's probably, with 40 hours of gameplay, it might take me forever to finish this game, but I will do my best to finish this game. I'm not going to, stream or record every single bit of this game that I might play. But I will. And now that I got this recording thing figured out, I might just record some gameplay and upload it to YouTube, or you can just catch me playing it live on Twitch. So with that being said, if I was to do my Dreamcast guy impression, so let's go to the scoreboard and put a number on it. I'm giving Asgard Wrath a 9 out of 10. It's a great game. Asgard's Wrath is a must-have. If you have an Oculus Rift S, It is a must-have game. It is a beautiful game. It is a fun game. It is a great story. And this game will entertain you for quite a while with 40 hours of gameplay. So definitely pick it up, especially if you're into the mythology like me. I like Greek mythology, but I like Norse mythology a little bit more. You know, and every time I see any kind of story or what have you about Norse mythology, naturally I'm always looking around for mentions of Thor, because Thor is my favorite superhero. And when I was a kid reading up in the encyclopedias on Norse mythology, a lot of gods was terrified of Thor because of that hammer, and then everybody knows, Thor throws that hammer. If it misses its target, the hammer would come back to him. So another reason why, I want to play this game through is, Tyr was mentioned in this game. And I remember when I was a kid, I had a comic book when Thor fought Tyr. So I guess Tyr took it upon himself to go to Earth, and he tried to kill Thor in his mortal form as Dr. Donald Blake. But he was able to strike the cane on the ground and turn into Thor before Tyr was able to kill him. And it was a pretty big fight. Naturally, Thor, beat his ass. So when I hear, when I see stuff related to Norse mythology, I always want to see if there's mention of Odin, Thor, Balder, Tyr. The main gods in Norse mythology. So Tyr was already mentioned in Asgard's Wrath. And at the beginning of the game, as I said, when Loki got snatched up, up into the clouds, I'd imagine that was Odin that pulled him up there. But so far there hasn't been any mention of Odin in this game yet, but I'd imagine there will be at some point. So I'll keep on plugging away at this game. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and boogie on out of here. Today's Saturday. I got my son today. I don't know how much stuff I'll be streaming today, but I'll get something in there. So make sure you check me out on Twitch. Once this video's done uploading, I'll come back and put my Twitch in the description. So make sure you subscribe to catch the live videos while I'm in YouTube jail. And I will catch you all later. Thanks for watching. Deuces.